conversation.
I feel like we should mention that at ESPN Bet Sportsbook, the Eagles are the favorites to win the NFC. The Lions are actually next.
Yeah.
You didn't mention them. Maybe that wouldn't constitute a sleeper because they've been so good and all the rest of that. But who spoils this part?
Honestly, well, I think the Lions obviously factor in. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I believe, are going to be extremely good. But I do believe this is the year the San Francisco 49ers get back in the conversation.
Ooh. So do they.
Yeah,
so does ESPN Bet Sportsbook. They've got them with the third shortest odds.
Right. This is the team that doesn't have a difficult schedule. Brock Purdy is now signed for his extension, and there's also a ton of players that were injured on this team that are now healthy. They do have to do some work on the back end, but I do believe the San Francisco 49ers have an opportunity to have a good regular season and compete in the NFC West, which will give them an opportunity to spoil the party.
They just traded for Brian Robinson, so they have 2 running backs on the roster that are healthy. They have basically 1 healthy wide receiver in Ricky Pierce, although they're hoping Juwan Jennings can make it back. Their secondary is riddled with injuries. They have so many injuries, and it feels like with this team, every day I hear about somebody else that got hurt. It's just unbelievable how many injuries this team continues to get.
Greedy, it's easy. I love Love. And Jordan Love's receivers last year led the league in drops. He's going to be healthy. And Matthew Golden, who... It's the truth.
All you need is love.
All you need is love.
Yeah.
So
you like Green Bay?
I love Green Bay.
This part.
Absolutely. Yeah. And Matthew Golden may be the rookie of the year. He was my #1 receiver. I can't believe he lasted that far. But when you take a weakness, turn it into a strength, tell me who has more ability than Jordan Love.
Jordan Love's got to stay healthy. Yeah. Like he's got to stay healthy.
I will say this. I was there for the joint practice between the Seattle Seahawks and the Green Bay Packers. And he looked really good.
Jordan Love.
Right? Just the way Jordan, it wasn't necessarily Jordan Love because he wasn't involved in 11-on-11. It was Malik Willis, but they were on time. They were aggressive. Josh Jacobs looks like he's in even better shape than last year. This team understands who they are. Yeah. If they get good cornerback play, they could absolutely win the North and be in the NFC Championship.
All right, let me go to the next one. Everyone's picked something we're not talking enough about. Yeah. RC, go.
I think it's Drake May, right? I feel like we talk about all the second-year quarterbacks headed into this season, but we haven't spoken about Drake May. He started 12 games last season, and he was throwing to guys like Butte, but now with Stephon Diggs, with Mac Hollins, a do-it-all guy on the offensive side of the ball, and with a totally revamped defense alone with Mike Vrabel, I believe the sky's the limit for Drake May. He's a young player with extreme talent, athleticism that is underrated, and the absolute composure and poise that you need to be successful at the position.
Roster's not there yet to be in the conversation with some of those other guys, and I want Drake to stay aggressive. Yeah. What I've seen, small body of work of this preseason, that hasn't been the case. Sometimes that happens with a defensive-minded head coach. We're going to play great defense. We're going to good special teams, just value the football, all that stuff. He's 6'5", 240 pounds, and a great athlete. I don't want cautious. So, but the draft class last year seems to be a complete failure. This past year, this one's a little bit more encouraging. That roster still needs a lot of talent for our things. Like to get into that J.J. Michael Penix type of conversation expectation.
Agree. The O-line, to me, is still a concern. Morgan Moses' durability. They just cut last year's fourth-round pick. So, to me, I'm a little bit more with Dano. I like Drake May. Just don't know if there's enough pieces around him.
What is your sense of the early returns on Drake May and Mike Vrabel together?
I think the Patriots are very excited about Drake May. I think that they feel like they have a Josh Allen Jr., and we'll see how much he develops this year, but that guy is on course to be, I think, a standout player.
I think next year.
Yeah, I think he's extremely talented, and I was really encouraged about the way he fought down the stretch last season. Some of those intangibles that Dan says you can't measure, I saw some of those things play out for Drake May.
Take a bow, our buddy Tim Hasselbeck, who leading up to that draft never wavered. He kept telling us Drake May is going to be the best quarterback in this class. Obviously, Jaden Daniels set the world on fire last year, but all signs point to positive things for May so far. All right, Mike T, here we go. What is the one thing that we're not talking nearly enough about?
Greedy, it's stunning. It's Cam Ward, the first pick in the draft. If you go back to Dano talking about the intangibles, here's someone that started off at Incarnate Word, went to Washington State, Miami. When you talk to teams at the Combine, what was most impressive about him is what his teammates said about him. And then you factor in Calvin Ridley, Tyler Lockett, then got Lloyd Cushenberry, Kevin Zeitler were additions on the offensive line. He's going to be well protected, underrated skill players, and he's always exceeded expectations And I see no reason, Greeny, based on his DNA, that won't continue to happen.
But the most important words, he might be terrific, but at the bottom of the screen, you pick them to win the division.
And he'll be the best quarterback in the division by the time we get to Thanksgiving.
Well, look, why Dan Orlovsky, why are you taking a knee? I mean, we've got Trevor Lawrence in that division. There have been some ups and there have been some downs.
C.J. Stroud.
Anthony Richardson has been benched. C.J. Stroud had the magnificent first year. These are all super high draft picks. Why are you on it? What are you doing?
What, the best quarterback in division?
He's saying by the end of the year.
Listen, I really like Cam Ward.
Why is that so
C.J.
strange?
Stroud is alive, right?
Wait.
He's alive.
Did you see the way C.J. Stroud's been protected? They're going to have 5 new offensive linemen in Houston. You think that's going to get better?
Cam Ward's the first pick in the draft.
You're talking like the Titans have the Cowboys offensive line from 2016. Like it's.
They got Dan Moore at left, J.C. Latham at right, Lloyd Cushenberry, Kevin Zeitler.
The Texans have a new offensive line,
5 new starters.
Okay, but we're talking about. Oh, Mike T, I love you.
Okay, let's come back to this one. Let's come back to this one because
let's
I
focus
want to
on
make
Cam
sure.
Ward. Let's focus on
There's
Cam
one.
Ward.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, Cam Ward, we hope will have a great year. But Shefty has something for his thing we're not talking about enough that I think maybe in the long run, or at least in the short run, is the most significant of all. Shefty, go.
And it involves C.J. Stroud's team, and that is Joe Mixon. There has been no updates, no conversation about the man that's supposed to be starting for the Houston Texans. He injured his ankle in the offseason. He was placed on the non-football injury list. By 4 p.m. Eastern tomorrow, the Houston Texans have to decide whether to activate him or leave him on this list. If he's left on the list, he misses a minimum of 4 games. The silence from Houston is deafening regarding Joe Mixon's injury. There's been zero update. There are lots of questions when or if he'll be back again. We'll continue to await an update. They have to provide it by tomorrow. Hasn't practiced all year, hasn't been seen a lot, hasn't been heard from at all. There's a lot going on with Joe Mixon's ankle that hasn't been addressed, that hangs over this franchise and leaves a major question mark at the running position. How's that for something that we haven't talked about?
And it's something I wanted to make sure that we got in here for you today because that has obviously enormous ramifications for the Texans to whatever degree this is important, and it is, fantasy ramifications and all sorts of other things like that.
They do have Nick Chubb, so like maybe he could stem the tide while Joe Mixon.
Yeah, I think this is really big news. Joe Mixon was amazing for the Houston Texans last year, even with some of their offensive line woes, and you were expecting to have him in the backfield to help C.J. Stroud sort of rebound from what was a difficult last season because of protection. I think this is big, and I don't know if Nick Chubb is the Nick Chubb we all fell in love with when he was a Pro Bowler in Cleveland.
Well, let me see that question. Is there concern for Joe?
Well, that was going to be my question.
I would change it. Is there concern for Joe Mixon this season?
Yeah, that's the thing. Missed 4 games. If it's longer or the length of the season,
that's trouble.
We're talking a top 5
We don't
back
know.
now.
We don't know because nobody is answering the
That could
question.
be a huge
By the way,
deal.
Dan, I'm not letting you on the Titan bandwagon, so just he's already.
But for this point, I mean, Shefty, sort of sounding the alarm here. This is something to be paying close attention to. The next official update is due from the team by tomorrow afternoon. Coming up, it is the stunning storyline of the season. We will tell you what you should and shouldn't believe about the Sanders sabotage.